Hello and welcome to a Motor Week Motor Show special. From the daddy of all motor shows.
Because this week we're in Germany for the Frankfurt International Motor Show.
Frankfurt is the biggest motor show in the world, with nearly every manufacturer you can think of having a stand. Some, like VW and BMW, even have their own hall.
The sheer size of Frankfurt Show has to be seen to be believed. It makes the NEC look like Bury Market, and it'll take you about half an hour to get from Hall 1 to Hall 10.
Now, they may have lost the plot a bit when it comes to football, but the Germans still know a thing or two about making big luxury cars. Cars like the new BMW 7 Series. Graham Biggs of BMW. Now, the BMW badge has been seen a lot lately, but in connection with the Mini.
Yeah.
Very small car. Maybe a bit of a surprise from a luxury manufacturer. Now, the 7 Series, very big car. In a way, you've got to get this right, because this is what we expect from you, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the 7 Series is a vitally important car to us. It's the flagship of the BMW range, and so it has to represent the brand in every way.
And kind of familiar territory, I suppose. So as a manufacturer, it must be even more of a challenge. You're not doing something that's a completely new thing for you. It's, once again, you've got to get out and beat the rest at making a luxury car. That must be really tough.
Yeah, and of course our reputation is, as you say, in luxury cars and sporty luxury cars, and the 7 Series has always been the most important, the top notch of those. So yeah, of course, a huge amount of work has gone into getting this car right. We absolutely are heading in a new design direction. And the new features that you see on the 7 Series for the first time, some of those you will see on BMWs of the future. So, I mean, this is a new direction for us.
And a lot of this is about the interior and not just the way it looks outside. You put a huge amount of work into that.
Correct, yeah. I mean, the exterior design is one thing, but the interior is a complete revolution as well. I mean, one of the main things we've done is try to reduce the forest of switches that you find now on luxury cars down to very, very few controls. And in fact, the main one is called the iDrive controller. Is a bit like a computer mouse, and through that you control all the sort of comfort and navigation and information settings on the car. You still drive the car with the gears and everything, automatic gearbox at the steering wheel, but all the sort of extra bits and pieces are taken control of with this new system. There is still a very strong market for the top-notch luxury car.
It's hugely important, and also just plain huge, really. Very, very big car. Graham, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
So the new 7 Series is perfect when you're ready to be chauffeured home in luxurious comfort. But what if you want to do it yourself and get a bit of that Bavarian wind in your hair?
How about the all-new Audi A4 Convertible? Not content with creating a gorgeous saloon and estate car, Audi have lobbed the top off the A4 to create this stunning new convertible to replace the outgoing Audi A4 Convertible. So I'm with John Zammert, Head of PR for Audi. Beautiful car, John, the new Audi A4, but it's been a long time in coming.
Just a little, but it's actually been 10 years since we launched the first one. We're very excited about seeing this come to Britain next year.
Exactly when is it coming?
Early May. The press launch is going to happen around April time, so it's really not too long to wait now.
And how much can I pick one up for, should I decide to buy
we've not
one?
announced prices yet, but you probably need to spend about 22,000 upwards to get one. So all new car, initially available in front drive with 3 petrol engines from 2 litre, 2.4 and 3 litre, and eventually available in quattro as well.
Fantastic. Automatic hood?
Yes, goes up and down, up or down in 25 seconds. Of course, being a flexible hood, it means you preserve the luggage space.
And you're very keen on safety at Audi. Has it got lots of safety features?
Absolutely. All the airbags that you could ever want, front airbags, side airbags, anti-lock brakes, that kind of thing, and also a thing we call ESP, which is a device which actually helps to increase the stability in high-speed corners.
Excellent. Well, it looks like it might rain here, so let's
Yes.
hope they put the hood up and let's get out the way.
Absolutely.
Ever since their UK launch of the LS400 in 1990, it does seem as though Lexus can do no wrong. Then, having cracked the luxury car market, they had a go at a sports saloon with the GS. And yes, that was an instant success too. As was their SUV, the RX 300. This, in fact, is the best-selling soft-roader in the States by miles. It does seem as though every time they enter a new sector of the market, they do really well. And now, there's another string to their bow, another tinny in their crate, with this, the IS300, in both saloon and sport cross form. Now, the IS200 was already a very competitive car, and if it lacked anything, perhaps it was a little bit of oomph. Well, that's been addressed, because for this, the 300, we now have a V6 and over 200 brake horsepower, which means suddenly the IS300 is ahead of the class. We got a first glimpse of this car at the Geneva Motor Show, and Glenda has been to France to get a first European test drive.
Now, when I was younger, my dad used to drive a Datsun estate. And you can imagine how my brother and I felt about that. It wasn't only boring, ugly and sluggishly slow, but it also had no street cred whatsoever. But things have come a long way since then. And kids today can be happy jumping into the back of a new, funky, fast, versatile breed of estate car. The latest of which shows just how far Eastern car manufacturers have come in the last 20 years. So it's bye-bye Datsun and hello Lexus. This is the company's first ever estate car, the IS300 Sports Cross. Following the lead of the BMW 330 Tourer and the Mercedes 320 Estate, the Sports Cross combines sleek looks with performance and practicality. Not a bad deal for mums and dads who want to still look cool, but Lexus are aiming this car at parents who want to drive fairly rapidly too. A racier sports car. So as expected, the stats for this car, aimed at the boy racer with responsibilities, are pretty good. The 3-litre straight-six VVTi engine will blast you from 0 to 60 in 8.4 seconds. And with a top speed of 143 miles an hour, I think all dads out there are going to be impressed. Now, the interior of the IS200 was certainly an improvement on the Japanese steeds of old. But the interior of the IS300 is still a bit funereal and gloomy, but just look at the finish and the build quality. It is absolutely superb. Plus, there are loads of buttons and gadgets for you to play with in here. And as standard on the IS300, we've got full leather interior, and these front seats are heated and electrically adjustable. Plus, Lexus have had the sense to keep those fantastic sporty instrument dials from the IS200. But let's not forget that this is an estate car, and it comes with the P tag that all teenagers dread. P for practicality. Ugh! But to call this or its German competitors an estate car isn't strictly true, because it's marketed as a lifestyle vehicle, and it's not really competing against the likes of the Volvo V70. In other words, there ain't much room back here. Granted, you could get more in it than you can in an IS200, but if you want to move a wardrobe around, you're going to have to leave that to the hairy arse removal men. Oh, no offence, boys. So it looks like Lexus have got the Midas touch again, but there are some downsides compared to the competition when you look at the performance of the new IS300. This car is very thirsty, giving you a combined return of only 25.5 miles to the gallon. Plus, the Beamer is faster than it 0 to 60. But with Lexus, you are getting the value for money. Plus, you're getting a little bit of individuality. As yet, you're not going to see the IS300 on every street corner and clogging up supermarket car parks. Some people will argue, what's the point of these small estate cars? Clumsier than a saloon and pokier than an out-and-out load lugger. But trends are changing. We all have different needs. Just like the need to tell the whole world that because you're getting a little bit older and more space conscious doesn't mean to say that you can't dance at the local disco. Does it, Dad? But all that aside, when you've got a car that is as gorgeous as this one, who cares what sector it's sitting in? As long as you're sitting in the driver's seat.
And we'll be finding out about future plans for Lexus later in the show. But first, Glenda has been out to take a drive in a car that only a few years ago would have had you cowering under the dashboard for fear of being recognised.
That's right, Richard. And as Lexus are going from strength to strength, so too are Skoda. It's not long ago that a Skoda with a twin exhaust was a wheelbarrow and a Skoda with a sunroof was a skip. But all that is set to change as I'm stood next to the car that is about to rival the Audi A4 and the VW Passat. This is the new Skoda Superb. I'm now with Kathy Bell from Skoda UK. Now, Kathy, is this car superb?
You bet it is. It's a great car. It's brand new, and it is in fact a superb car. We're very proud of it.
Now, it is a break with recent tradition for Skoda, isn't it?
It is, but it's not a break. It's a return to our tradition. We've been making large saloon cars in the luxury class from the 20s and 30s and 40s, and that's where the name comes from. And so it's a return to that tradition that Skoda was very good at.
And this car has got a lot of luxurious and quite technical extras available, hasn't it?
Yes, it does. It's got quite a few things that are designed specifically for driving comfort and for comfort of the passengers. There's an extraordinary amount of rear passenger space, rear legroom, so it's quite comfortable for people.
Yeah, so it is. I heard that it was a stretched Passat floor pan, is that correct?
It is. It's based on a stretched Passat platform, so it's actually longer than a Passat. And it's been designed and engineered from the ground up by the people in Skoda in the Czech Republic.
Any other sort of similarities with the Passat, or does it stop there?
It truly is a Skoda. It, like I said, has been designed from the start by the Czech engineers and built in Mladá Boleslav in the factory there.
And who is the car aimed at?
It's aimed at, in the UK, at the family market and the executive car driver market. So there's quite a good range for it, and it's a segment that we haven't been in the UK.
And when are we going to be able to see this car on the roads in the UK?
It will be late spring, early summer next year, so May or June of 2002.
And just before you think that Skoda have got ideas above their station calling their new car superb, this is actually the Mark II Superb, and the first one was launched in 1934. So there.
Now, we shall, of course, be milking England's 5-1 defeat of Germany for many years to come. But meantime, it's good to know that we're beating them in other departments too, namely in providing personal transport for one James Bond. Because no more messing about behind the wheel of Z8s and BMW Z-Series for Mr. Bond, because he's going to get back behind the wheel of the car he should have, an Aston Martin. The great man will be seen piloting a V12 Vanquish in his next Bond film, The Spy Who Shagged Loads of Russian Tarts and Never Even Got VD, or whatever else it's called.
Have you ever fancied yourself as Bond then, Richard?
I did kind of model him on me.
Right, that's it for part one from our Frankfurt Motor Show special.
Join us after the break. Amongst others, we'll be checking out the new Ford Fiesta.
And the new Citroën C3. See you then.
Now this is a very, very big motor show, so there's pretty much everything here to see. Supercars, dream cars, whatever you want. So what was one of the most eagerly awaited cars of the whole show? The Ford Fiesta. I mean, if you've not actually owned one, you'll have driven one, and if you've not driven one, you'll have been driven in one. So it's no surprise that it's 25 years now since the first Fiesta rolled off the production line.
One of the recent additions to my fantasy garage would have to be the new Maserati 3200 Spider, due to go on sale any week now. And Mr. Hammond was lucky enough to go on the recent European launch.
Just one more large piece of cheese before I go to sleep, I think. Ah, bella, bella. How to be Italiano, eh? Rule number one. Rule number one. The Englishman's Guide to Being Italian. Rule number one. Lose yourself in the glorious Italian countryside. Rule number two, presentation. Dress like an Italian. That means smart and stylish. Rule number three, you must get yourself some exotic Italian wheels. This'll do nicely. And finally, rule number four, learn to speak Italian.
La nuova Maserati Spider è una vettura completamente nuova, è una 4200.
Yeah, all right, well, 3 out of 4 isn't bad, is it? Maserati haven't had the easiest of times over the last 20 years, and they haven't helped themselves because their cars haven't been exactly, well, reliable or particularly well built. Now, though, they are relaunching themselves in a big way. You've got to remember right from the start that Maserati are owned by Ferrari, so we are in seriously glamorous territory here. Maserati say that the Spider is their first proper car, if you like, in their rebirth, and Ferrari have had a lot to do with this. Compared then to the coupe, the 3200 GT on which the Spider is based, it's an entirely new engine and drivetrain, and that's where Ferrari have really made a difference in developing this glorious V8. It's a magnificent engine for several reasons. For a start, the best part of 400 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in around 5 seconds, not at all bad, but that's only part of the story. Because into that you've got to add the torque, which is endless. Leave it in any gear and blast along, and of course, the noise, which is glorious. Feeling sophisticated. You do, it's that kind of experience. Something about driving, well, it's a Maserati, isn't it? It's got to be special. It feels fabulous. There's a real sense of occasion. It is, despite being rare and exotic and very expensive, a car to be driven pretty hard. Ooh. What a weird dream.
I'm now with Julian Layton, PR from Citroën, and behind me is the fantastic new Citroën C3. Now this must be the funkiest new Super Mini. Has it been a conscious decision for you to kind of go out in this direction?
Absolutely. It's given us the chance to make a car which is truly individual, particularly in that market sector. We think that's very important to be able to offer a vehicle that looks as individual as that.
What are its main selling points?
Okay, certainly, as you make the point, the looks of the car. We really wanted a car that stands out, and we think we've achieved that. But in doing that, we've been able to create a car which has got a lot of space in the vehicle. And as a 5-door Super Mini, for young families, for people who want that space, that vehicle gives them the looks and that massive amount of space as well.
The all-new Citroën C3. Slightly bigger than the Fiesta, it's going to come between the Citroën Saxo and the Citroën Sara. And very funky it is too.
Well, that's it from Frankfurt for this week, but we will have more highlights from the show in next week's Motor Week.
Plus, join us in October for another Motor Week Motor Show special reported from the Tokyo Motor Show. But for this week and from Frankfurt, goodbye.
See you next week. Wait,
Come on.